I don't know what to say, but this video specifically, I I can't focus. Like, I think I woke up a little bit late, quite late, like 11:30 type of late. Last night I just couldn't get to bed till like 4. But I did some stuff, so I wouldn't say it was exactly awful, you know. Um, I just can't focus, and I know I gotta go out and go to the library and do some stuff, but like I just can't get to grips with it. You know, like my thoughts are sort of like a bubble, and nothing can sort of get through. Right, it just bounces off and bounces off. I just don't feel like I can't I can't have active thoughts right now. It might be the being tired. It might be the waking up with like grey and more grey. But there's something that's sort of, I don't know. My perception of the world is definitely different today than it was yesterday. And I quite like the way it was yesterday. You know, we had we had class, and they just talked about how much reading there was and how we. The main goal of this is to do a lot of experiments with writing and seeing what you can produce. And okay, and you know the Yeti thing was already the thing that I'd prepped for this class, and it is quite. Actually, I do need to write something down on it, but not gonna take long. Um, I just don't have a pull. Usually most days I have like a pull towards doing something. Now I just have a pull towards the bed, and that's natural. That's normal. I'm tired. You know. Um, I don't know what would wake us up. I don't know what. Maybe the shower. I just feel really lazy right now, and maybe the point of this video could be to combat that. To just think about it and to mill on it. Let's mill about and think about it. Well, it's the same as yesterday. I know everything that I have to do. I wrote down my to-do list. I know what's happening tomorrow. I know what's happening on Saturday, on Sunday, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. Not so much Saturday, but and Sunday. So I pretty much, know what the week's like, know what the weeks are prepped like. Um, and today is Thursday. I should be doing something later, but it's been called off. So I feel like I have that extra stretch of time. The library closes at 7, so I feel again like I have that extra stretch of time. If I get there for 3, I've got 4 hours, and I feel like I can do sufficient enough writing in 4 hours. Um, then again, I have a book I need to read, which I think this is going to be like the longest chapter so far, like a side thing. I started picking up in the reference room the history of Ireland by some sort of reverend. He has strong opinions, um, but he presents the facts, or he presents the stories that may possibly be fiction, the ancient tales of early inhabitants of Ireland and stuff. The mythologies. He presents them as though they're facts and says, "But these might be, and this doesn't have much evidence." And so I like that. I like it. It lets me interpret. It lets me sort of wonder, and wonder I will. I'll probably take those early mythologies as facts because that I'm that that's me. I believe in unicorns. I believe in dragons, most certainly. Yeah, and early mythologies, Neolithic fantasy. So I want to go read that. And I get there, a couple hours of reading, a couple hours of writing. Right now, I just got to do some morning stuff. Well, I can check. I just got to do some morning stuff. Some like journaling and making this video um. But in fact, I don't have anything else to do but that and read. And I'm not a busy guy. You know, like I think there's a different type of busyness. Like two types. Like there's one way you're actually busy. If you don't hit deadlines, the state of your life is at fault. If you don't get to work on time, you might get fired. If you don't hand this in on time, you might lose something. I think I'm that type of guy who is, let's say, the first, sorry, the second type of busy, right? What you just put shit on yourself, and you make that your life. All of a sudden, I'm busy because my mind said I had to do this. Doesn't mean you're busy. Bye bye. It just means that you feel the pressure to get things done, and in the same way, I think it's a gradient and it sort of goes between the two. But ultimately, the things I have to do right now, they are things I've decided to do. Granted, I can't sit here and say like I don't have deadlines. I've got to write two quality short stories in 12 weeks, and that's not an easy task. I think I can do it with the Yeti. I think with the Yeti I can get a really good. Honestly, if I was really focusing, if I really paid attention and really tried to Stephen King this shit, write every day as much as I possibly could. Not just an hour, 20 minutes. If I just sat down and wrote till my creativity was exhausted that day. Like yesterday, I wrote I think 1,800 or 900 words. Then again, I still think I need to go back and fix those because I think there's a lot of lore in there that I need to tweak out. And I don't know if it was perfect. I still gotta describe the crash of the plane, which then that gives me like my first, my chunk. Get into the and by the way, realize how much of an idiot I was. The Antarctic is down there. In my head, in the story, I was going north. I thought the Antarctic was the North Pole. I feel like such an idiot. Um, the Antarctic and the North Pole are so different. And I think with the state of the world, I get to make this a little bit more of a political story in that regard. That when we go to the North Pole, I'd like to say that the beliefs of the characters and the beliefs of the world, idea of something as simple, U.S. is taking Greenland, maybe Mexico, well, Southern America too, and Canada. So the coalition, that was my idea, and the North Pole is somewhat melted, and maybe there's in my head law there's a research facility in the North Pole, sort of going around and making a lot of scientific observation experiments with the life, trying to find the life with the recent melting. And I think the belief of the characters would be that nothing is snowing. There's no whiteness in the North Pole anymore. What would I say? It's a sort of land mass. I don't know, but I think I'd like to show my stupidity through Matt, that he thought Antarctica was the North, and then when they crash, obviously it's somewhat of a surprise. Like the question: Are they in Antarctica? Are they in the North Pole? That's just a one-liner, even. You know, I thought the North Pole had melted, like, and then some guy could be like, yeah, well, I don't know if he meant Antarctica or not, if he's just an idiot. But I think the sudden shock of being in like torrential snow, that's more of the thing I'm trying to get at. I've been reading Mountains of Madness, and there's a lot of heavy description in there. If you've read it, you know there's a lot of factual description, and there's a lot of mountains in Antarctica. The North Pole should be different, and I think that the contrast there is I'd love to just when we're in the snow to keep the sight, the the vision of each character should be no more than 5 feet ahead, right? Torrential. You can't see anything but snow. That's what the initial idea was. Really, was a guy who had already seen a yeti running away from it, and he's bleeding. His friend just died, and this is like the third draft. And I think if I really Stephen King the shit out of it, I could get it done in. Well, I could get this third draft done by the end of the week. That would require me to work on today, tomorrow. Tomorrow should be possible. I think the library closes early tomorrow, so I'll have to go to the other one. Saturday there's a birthday. I'd like to do something before that, but then like, can I bring my backpack or my laptop and my, my all my shit in, my books, my wallet, my charger? Can I bring that to a birthday party with people dressing up like it's in a place? Like, nah, not really. Sunday church, but I don't think I'll get back after that, and I don't think I'll be in a mental place to write. Because I'll have eaten, I'll have gotten home late, I'll have been a bit lazy. Most I could probably do is a couple of general simple stuff at night, and then just clock out. Um, what else? I don't know. It might be possible, but I think regardless of what I do, this first half that I've already done, I think it has to be drafted. I think I need to look at the law, the world building I've given the reader, because I think I need to add a little bit more, or I need to add a bit more dialogue. I don't know what it is, but I think there's a relationship between the characters I need to build up a little bit more, and see if because I've had the previous draft on one side and that on the other, but I still can't fully get what I've written on each. So I think I've got to go and read both of them and say what is there on the first draft or second, what is there on the second draft that what has to be put on the third, right? That I think and feel, well, this just adds, and I haven't said it in a different way because I've done one or two of those, and I think there I can then get that full picture, and then then when we crash, I had a couple of different ideas, but I had somebody say something yet Tuesday, so I was like, you know what, yeah, you're right, you're quite right. That isn't what I thought, but in a way you're quite right. I don't know. I want to the ending in my head needs to be vague, so it's like regardless of whatever happens story wise. And I'm thinking they actually see the Yeti in some fashion indoors, but it's still not going to be well lit. The creature has to be vague in my head. Um, Obviously, I know what it looks like in and out, but on paper, it has to be totally vague. Uh, I think in that's what I want to write, you know, and I'd like to be able to produce stories with a lot of telling, verbs, you know, beautiful lines with sharp verbs. I think writers like Steinbeck do that well, especially Hemingway. Finish Old Man in the Sea. Hemingway's verbs I loved. You know, I think it's that sort of straightforward movement of the story, right? Because I'm gonna have these guys go from a crash plane to a research facility and sort of walk around it. You know, like we're lost, but also there's blood on the walls, and there's rooms that look like this, rooms that look like that. I think in there that's where I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of environmentalism and Orkia's new life. Um, but think about, well, I think the subtext of that is, well, what's happened to the landmass of the world, obviously. Um, Wonder what that looks like. Um, and then get trapped, and well, not trapped, but like, what do you call it? Dead end. They reach a dead end, and then we hear the Yeti indoors. Describe it somewhat and end it there. I want to keep that suspense. You know, even as I'm trying to actively go through this thought process, I'm tired. I'm tired, man. It is hard to do it today. But I think today's just like any other day. It's just like any other night. The Smiths, man. Might have to bust out some Smiths. No, it's not Smiths. That's Jeff Buckley. Um, I still have to do things for the day. It's going to take a little bit extra effort, but it is what it is. I think I'm just going to go by the La Passion. La Passion. I need La Passion. Um, I'm gonna keep reading Mountains of Madness, try to get some inspiration from that. I think without a doubt, I can paint it. I can paint a better picture, and I can add more momentum and movement in the story through the verbs and through better descriptive sentences. I think I have. Sometimes you have to describe them beautifully, flowery, metaphorically. But I think in this piece, a couple of things that I have to do is describe what it actually is. You know, um, describe maybe what the plane looks like, what the plane post crash looks like, what the facility looks like, and so on. But obviously, if you give the reader a description of a winter land, essentially, they'll pick up their imagination. Readers are smart, uh, so I'm gonna look at that, and I think that's a point of change that I'll go into. And I think I can only do that after the fact. But as I go to write the second half, I have to bear it in mind. Okay, what's gonna happen? Well, the plane's gonna crash. What is that gonna look like? And give a nice clear picture. Um, and then once we're crashed, give a nice clear picture. Don't keep it flowery. Don't keep it vague that way. People have to see what it looks like. And then is that two bikes? And then yeah, maybe I could go back and tweak it, but I have to think about it now. I have to actively think about that as I write. Uh, on the end note of the video, I don't think they were, but there's people in Raby Street. Fuck me, why is it gonna be lads from Raby Street? There's people in Raby Street who've been stealing bikes recently. You know, and it's a thing, and you see that on Facebook, and you know, you'll see a whole bunch of biker this, biker lads, or whatever. Pathetic. Pathetic, if they ever see this. Pathetic. Sort your life out, boys. And then you got Vinny. Vinny's living somewhere up in Cheviot Mount, some dealer. I remember seeing him come down Commercial Road in a Mercedes Benz. I know how much his rent cost, and he's in a Mercedes Benz, and I'm like, oh, it's infuriating. You know it's drug money. And I could be judging, it could not be, but I mean, you don't live in Cheviot Mount, have a fucking Mercedes Benz, right? I kind of want to touch this and maybe get my motivation back, but that happening, you know, you got Raby Street, then you got Commercial Road, so it's like this, right? Take my hand away for a minute, like that. So that's the street that goes down. Then when you get up there, I think down here is where you get. Well, that's weird because you got Commercial Road, then you got another strip which is Conyers, and then you got Raby. But that's all a big hill, a big gradient hill that goes down. It's a slope from that point, and then the Cheevy Mount's up top there. I really want to, like, to me this is important. Raby Street it's derelict, right? It's pretty much. I think Bike is a beautiful place. I think it's the most wonderful place on the planet. I think Newcastle's the greatest place to live, to be. You know, it's home. But when you see like 15, 16-year-olds, 14-year-olds taxing mopeds and bikes and, you know, drug dealers just up the top of the street, and you got lads who are taking and when you walk through Newcastle and you see all the homeless people and you've seen them too many times and you know who they are and you know you're like, there's a purpose to my storytelling and career at the end of the day that I think I need to hone and perfect, because there's stories like these and there's people like this who require sympathy and attention and grace that just don't have it. I was kicked out of Heaton Manor in year 8. I didn't get back into school until the latter part of year 10. And I did quite well in year 11 because I had so much support. I went to Bridges, Spagger School. If you got a problem with saying Spagger, then, you know, I mean, you did not go to the school, so I think your opinion's invalid. Unless you did and you say, well, I went and I think we should call it so and so for positivity's sake, then I'll agree. But yeah, proper Spagger School. I'd even went to Linhope before then. Linhope, No Hope. That's a Spagger School. That's apparently a place where you go to literally no hope, as in you know you don't come back from it. Look where I am now. Eternally grateful. But point being, I think I'd consider myself being in low positions just like they were. You know, just like these kids on the street were. A lack of grace, a lack of sympathy given. You know, oh, he's just one of those people, you know, who are bound to fail. And I have to say, I believe in every man and woman and any animal, any creature. I believe a wolf has the ability to be calm and peaceful around humans. I believe I can sit with a bear and not be mauled, you know, and gain a friendship. I believe drug dealers can change. I believe young kids can grow and be better. I believe in humanity. I do. And I think maybe it's going to be a theme, but when you show raw things, you can't just whip in a, 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 a theme of hope. And those motorbikes remind us that there is a purpose, a passion, um, starting to write something for my dissertation, but now I'm questioning that maybe that style, that Canary Road type of one street thing, should be Raby Street rather than Shields Road, but I'm not quite sure. To me, there's, and it's gonna sound arrogant, and I will leave it here. I see a lot of new writing northern writers, northern this, northern that, and not once do I see a story about Shields Road, about how Heaton is a street down and the gentrification and the difference of wealth and people and attitudes that there are, you know. Um, and then you got Shields, well, from Shields Road you go up to Raby Street and then Bangor Metro, and then you got the industrial, and then you get into Walker Gate, and for some reason there's a little gangster spaff. The kids are still doing the stupid kid shit. And then you go into Newcastle, you go into town, you see all the homeless people. Fuck me. Every corner. Like, I'm not even saying this as in like it's morally wrong to be homeless. I'm saying every fucking corner you go by, there's a homeless person. And I just can't help but think, what are you doing? Like, I don't know your story, but there's so many of you to where I have to think, please tell me that this is not voluntary. Please tell me that you are just struggling and naturally, through the grace and goodness of the world being what it is, you'll get out of it. And I can maybe give you a sausage roll at best. But there's just so many of them. And I'm like, somebody's going to say, well, fucking, I'm Northern, I'm from Manchester, I don't give a fuck. And that's kind of harsh to say, but I don't care. Write your Manchester thing, right? But to me, I don't care. When I see Northern writing and Northern magazines and Northern publications, you need Biker, you need Newcastle in your publications. You need it. And the fact that I don't see it, and it's my thing, because I know I can look around and find it, I've read Samuel Herbert stuff. I've seen I've got I've got a couple of publications, but I from when I was growing up, I just don't see these stories. I don't see this post Thatcher, post war biker, and I don't see it in literature and the effects of it, and the effects of drugs and what it does to the family, and the family structure, what it does to hopes, dreams, and aspirations, where one might land, and what it does to the streets physically, and and what you see there when you go on Northumberland Street and you see multiple homeless. And you're like, fuck me. If I was, sorry for all the language, but you're like, fuck me. If I were to actually give somebody something here, I gotta choose. I gotta choose. And there's a whole gang on one side, there's a guy on the other. I'm like, well, who's with who? And you're like, well, who do I give? Because do I have all the money to give? And you start questioning. And you're like, well, is it up to me to help? Well, yeah, everyone's got to make a change. And you look at them and and this is the part that always gets me is it's a big cultural thing. You see these homeless people and they're always wearing North Face and 110s, and you're like, I'm not going to disrespect or try to assume how you acquired those clothes. I'm not saying financially you're well off, but those clothes aren't cheap. They are not cheap. And I always get the sense that these people are always recent. Because they wear clothes like that, and I always get the sense that maybe they've been kicked out of the house or something bad's just happened recently. And I don't know, but I know that in this post-Thatcher, post-war, this I'm not saying all of them are for biker, but I know in this world, drugs, it's that you start out with the weed. Everybody always starts out with the weed, and then you get more and more and more, and eventually you land on heroin or something, whatever your choice is. But I think mostly it's heroin. And I mean, my brother overdosed twice on heroin. There was something else I wanted to say. I'm kind of forgetting it. You know, I mean, I feel like I am fit to tell these stories. I actually grew up with like 20 or so people always in the house, you know, taking or doing. I'm not saying I live. I'm not trying to put pity on myself, but I know this shit. I know this shit, and it needs to be in the literary context. It needs to be put in the literary world. Not in terms of it needs to be entertainment, but I've never valued California more than I have the California in Steinbeck's books, because he shows a California that deserves my attention and deserves my sympathy and deserves my care for it to prosper and for people to be better off. And in that regard, I'm trying to do that. I can't do much else. I don't have a lot of talent in other fields. Maybe I can give to a homeless person, maybe I can talk to a homeless person, but that's largely the stretch of where it goes. But my scope and my ability as a writer is where I can do the best, where I can do the most even. It's where I can also fulfill myself, you know, and get out of that world. But these people, Vinny, Ravy Street, Shields Road, you know, well, I could go into town and I can describe everywhere, you know, everywhere in town. There's lads always at Central, there's lads always up at the Metro from Central, there's lads always just up there out of Spoons, there's lads just up there at Greg's, and then across the street at Dixon's, and then there's always that lass who sits outside of Granger Markets, the green doors, and then you keep going up, and not many people are on Monument for some reason, but I don't think you'll typically get anyone either if you go Westgate Road. But as soon as you go up Northumberland Street, you'll get bap. Whenever you know, you'll get one at Milligan's, you'll get one out of Alden Square, you'll get one out of McDonald's, you'll get one out of Phoenix, you'll get one out of Burger King, and it's just like, like, not that I'm mad at the homeless. I'm like, why are there so many homeless people? You know, and I think about all the people who I'd seen growing up and all these things that happened, and this is where I want to say this stuff. I go to St. John's, right? For us, it's Orthodox St. Anthony's. St. John's in at Central Station opposite the Spoons on Granger Street. Not too long ago, 2 fucking women died on the church grounds. On the church grounds, where I go and celebrate liturgy, where I go and praise the Lord, you know, where I go to church. Around the back, 2 ODs. Mind you, I've not trying to put any, you know, superiority on myself here. I'm not trying to say look at the good deeds I've done, but obviously it's my church. I'm trying to keep it nice, you know. I've went around back and tried to clean, because after Saturday you got people getting pissed. You know, it's city centres. Newcastle's such a good place to party. Think about the fucking people first. Think about our emotions. Think about our livelihoods. Think about our financial situations. Think about our families. Think about our care. Think about our depression. Think about our mental health. Think about that rather than thinking about Newcastle as a party town. And the people who look at it that way, and the students that come over and they do that, that's going to get me angry. That is where I see the disrespect. You don't come into Newcastle, and you don't come in, and you don't just, it's not, you know, and when I get out of the back of church, and I see needles that I have to pick up, and I see cans and cans and cans and bottles and shit that I need to pick up, you know, and I look around, and every Saturday it's always dirty again, you know. And I go and I witness shit and I see this shit. And there's been times where I'd go out to clean, and I remember seeing these 2 guys who walked by, you know, and or whatever, they were sitting somewhere. And I said, remember to put them in the bin, lads. You know, and they were older people. They were like in their 30s. And I thought, who am I to say remember to put them in the bin? But there was a bin around the fucking corner. And around the bin it was dirty. And I was like, remember to put them in the bin. Look where you are. Look at this grade 1 building, beautiful history in Newcastle. Real architectural history, real cultural history. Why are there needles around? Why is there Smirnoff? What's that? Knights. Why is there Knights cider there? Knights, have a bit of respect, right? You're buying Knights because it's cheap and you want to get pissed. That's why it's there. That's what gets me. Because this stuff needs to be shown, man. You're not going to be seeing this on GB News. GB News my arse. BBC my arse. You know? You need people to bear witness. Bear witness. I can only do this through my writing. You know? This is what I have. And I have to say, this is where I say that's where my skill ends. That's where my ability, my sway ends. Obviously, I could and I should go to food banks and those sorts of places and serve and help, and there's that, right? And there's always talking to them, and there's always change. There's always activism, absolutely. But this is all I got, man. You know, this is what I got, and to me, this is why I find it to be the most important thing. Because it's not only the homeless, but it's the people that I know who go home at night. You know, it's the Sharons of the world. It's Angie and Albie. It's those people on Gordon Road, Gordon Square. It's those people on Dunnes Terrace. Those people on Commercial Road. People, every night you have to go back home and you know what it's like. You know what the culture's like. It's always, you got the telly on, you got Channel 4, you got BBC One, you got all that. You know, and it's like, and then it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening, you know, and everybody's going to pay the water bill for some reason, you know. And you know, your lecky's always going up, your gas is always going up. It's always a thing, and then there's people who are struggling. You know, people don't go back to Raby Street and sit and go having a good night's rest and go to sleep. You know, I mean, there's some struggling, but they're struggling. You know, achieve your amount you might. Achieve your amount, you might find some, but you know, it's just in Newcastle you got parts of people who are okay, and you just got parts that aren't, and that's just like the rest of the world. But to me, I think, you know, I can't focus on the rest of the world. It's arrogant to say that and just go, no, you have to be, you are from here, you are specific, you know, be specific. That's where life is, in the specificities, and there's nothing more important in my life, work-wise, than the production of these novels and novellas that bring attention to this tragedy of what I see. Is absolute tragedy. Vinny, sort your life out. Everyone on Raby Street, I hope to God you sort your life out. I hope to God you've got things in place to do that. And these people, man, there's no offence, okay? I'm gonna end this here, and it's gonna sound like I'm judging, but there's a lass on Northumberland Street, right? Always on Northumberland Street, and she's small, and she's sort of hunched over like this. And whenever she comes and asks you for spare change, it's not spare change. It's a fiver. It's a tenner. No one's giving you a fiver or a tenner, right? Out the bat. Not saying you're an idiot because you're asking for it. If you're asking for, I don't know your circumstances. Maybe you actually need a place to sleep tonight. You know, maybe you really do. But no one's giving a fiver or a tenner. Maybe there are some generous saints out there in the world. You know, but from what I know, in my heart, maybe I'm just the sinner, right? So I don't give the fiver or the tenner. But I don't know many people who will give a fiver or a tenner. And whenever she comes up to you, she cries. And I've seen this woman multiple times, to the point where you can sort of start to see not the mannerisms, but you know, you start to get to know someone. And you make judgment calls. And I'm making judgment calls. It's fair, I am making judgment calls. But it's annoying. Very annoying. Because you sit there and you make judgment calls, and if you're to give somebody the money, if you're to hand it over, you have to sit there and think to yourself. And that's the pain, by the way. That's the pain of giving to the homeless. That's the pain. Is you want to do good, but if you do good, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about anybody else, right? Because I know there are so many good people in the world who give to the homeless. But if you want to do good, you run the risk of giving them their next fix, which makes them OD and they die. You could kill someone by giving them, you know? You could do that. And that's where that dichotomy, that clash lives. The danger in wanting to do good for someone who wants to harm themselves. And it's... I care about these people. In principle. Personally. I'm a selfish man. I don't want to go out every day and start chatting to the homeless and make friends with them. I have my friends. But I care on a basic necessity level, and I care on the fact that I think Newcastle is the best place in the world, and it deserves to have zero homeless. It deserves to have thriving communities. You go out to fucking Jesmond or Gosforth, which is a bus ride away, right? Not even a bus ride. These places are seconds away, you know? And it's like the wealth that's there. The wealth that's there. And then you come into the city centre. And I'm like, can we stop with these gentrified suburban neighbourhoods and really care? I don't know what. I'm not a political guy. I do not know what the government's spending their money on. But what you have to spend your money on is your people. And these lads everywhere. Maybe it's a whole thing of snitching, right? But I don't know how Vinny's not been caught. Walk into his house, you probably find something. Probably find a key, you probably find, you know. I don't know how there's not been change. I don't know how there's not been change, and I don't know how people do not know. I don't know why they're on people on the streets who are actively combating this. Where's a place where they can? Why is there not? I'm telling you now. Look, all the places in Newcastle, right, where you got John Dobson and you got that beautiful architecture, you got that whatever it is, 1700s, 1800s, you got that beautiful. You know, you were looking at Victorian, you're looking at Elizabethan, you look at these beautiful, beautiful buildings, restaurants, pubs, nightclubs. And you mean to tell me that we can't have a place to where people can go and be safe? And then you got Albatross on Granger Street, and you're like, and I don't know how with what we have now that this can go on and be okay. The effect, the end of it, is those two women dying. Mind you, I'm going to pause this video and look up that fact. I might be talking shit. 1 minute. Apparently I'm yapping. Apparently it's two guys and they went to hospital. But I still don't... I'm not going to say, oh, it's lesser. You taking the piss? No. You ODing on church grounds. I'm not going to come out here and go hellfire and say some Sodom and Gomorrah type of shit. But I'm going to say, look at it. Where's the love and care for this place? For this beautiful place? Where's the love and care for it? It's the most beautiful place on the planet. We just don't care anymore. That's a mad statement. You got people like Circa or whatever. You've got... I don't know. But you just don't have... And all I got, by the way... I know this place. Back of my hand, I know this place. I care and love about this place. There's minor things I can do. But Circa and her work, her photography, people care about it. People admire it and people look at it and people are... I'd like to do the same. I'd like to do the same. I really would. I always thought about the Depression and sort of industrial America, and I'd seen it and I didn't care too much. But after reading Steinbeck, I really care. And you grow to get sympathy. And I'm hoping that maybe I can write something and it makes one person think that they can get out and do better and support. Not even get out, just support. No point in leaving. There's another Corey who lives in Baker. Found out recently. That lad's doing an apprenticeship for roofing. I know from someone I know. He's quite young. You can't take a character like that. You can't take a person like that. Tell me he's doing this. And then come back to me and say, you should do nothing for the rest of your life. There is another me out there. Literally. A Corey from Bagger. Right? That's what I'm saying. The emphasis that puts on me, on my heart, to try and do something that could give potential people like him, kids like him, hope. I don't think my writing's going to change the world. I don't even know if it's going to give people hope. I don't know what it's going to do. But it's all I got. It's all I got. It's the only thing I can do. But like it's my thing. Obviously I can give to the homeless and so many different things, right? You can obviously support people, but I'm not going to be a councilman. I'm not going to be a governor or nothing like that, right? Where I can go in and start making laws and start changing. I can't. But what I can do is shout and shout and shout and use my voice through my art to tell these people to stop fucking about. You know? I don't know how this will ever change, but I do have hope. I'm sad about it, but I do have hope. I envision the clean streets. I envision the place. I envision all of it. And I see it all as beautiful. I see change. I see hope. I see care. I see all these people getting off of drugs and actually changing their lives rather than ODing. Not to get too personal and hyper specific, but when you hear that your brother's OD'd twice over heroin, and you know the fuckers who deal, you know the fuckers who are out there supplying that shit. I'll be honest with you. I've never been afraid. Fuck. I've never been afraid to go anywhere near Cheviot Mount, where Vinny is. I've never been afraid to go anywhere near Raby Street. I've had people from Seaburn, from Gateshead and stuff, come over to Bigger and be scared. Think, oh look, this is rough. And I've had people come with accusatory visions and like, look around and say, look at him, look at him. There's no place on this world that I feel safer. Either my home, church, or Raby Street. Because I look at Raby Street and I don't see big bad boys. I don't see big hard men. I don't see gangsters. This is what I'm trying to get out in the writing. I see weak people who cry for help, who want improvements, who want change, who wants a better life, but who are manipulated by systems, by people who they believe to be friends, by chemicals, manipulated. And I know better than anyone I've spoke about. No better. Worse off, in fact. Like morally worse. It's not morally wrong to be homeless. It's morally wrong to be a dickhead. I am a dickhead. They're not. It takes strength to ask for help. And begging is often that. A man has to choose. Everybody else as well. A man has to choose actions which produce the world that he believes in. I believe in a good biker. I believe in a good walker gate. I believe in a commercial road, in a Welbeck road, in a Hard Bottle. I believe in all these places where they're clean, cared for, communities love each other, people love each other, neighbours know one another, that they have fruitful lives, meaningful careers, families, love, loved ones. And I hate pessimism, I hate cynicism, and I hate despair. All I got is writing these stories. No one's watching this. Thank God no one's watching this. They hear me yap about two women that don't exist. I tell you what, if you've made it to the end of this, genuinely, you've wasted your time. You have to care, and you have to change, and you have to grow, and you have to help people around you. And I mean this, I do, and I'm not trying to be political. I have no fucking power whatsoever if Trump takes Colombia or Greenland. None. The fuck am I gonna do? Mr. President, I'm not fucking Superman. Newcastle, Biker, Northumberland, Granger, these places. Walker Gate, these places. This is where you must make an effect. Local. Your home. You know, what's the quote? It's from someone. That you know, if a man wants to change the world, he must change himself. There I agree. You can't be sitting there, smoking bud, talking about, I want this place to be better, I want biker to change, you can't do that. This is destroying it. Oh, this feels good, oh, don't worry, it's not that bad, it's just not a hard drug. Fuck off. As a person in a home growing something, okay, that brings bad attention, that then leads on to new drug. This excuse that bud's not bad. Grow up, you child. That is judgment. No, not you child. You're childish. Grow. Bud is destroying Newcastle. And then coke and heroin, everything else. But you can't sit down and smoke bud. You can't sit down and smoke tabs. In the same way, you can't sit down and vape and preach about the environment. This gets put into a scrap heap. This gets put back into Newcastle. There's actions. I'm not saying live in a purity culture, but you have to act to live in a world you want to see come to fruition. If you want a world where people are kind, be kind. If you want a world where people are successful, be successful. Caveat, not monetarily, by helping others. We can all grow, we can all succeed together. This me. This I need my fix, this bullshit. It's a lie. And this is one man's opinion. Newcastle will never, ever get better if you've got people houses blowing up, killing a child over some fucking bud, over a high. It's not that bad, it's not that bad. You want to chemically change your brain for a minute to deal with stress or to be relaxed. You're telling me you want to relax. You want to relax that bad that you want to kill a child. That you want to allow the operations, the industry that kills children. In the same way. Oh, what about the environmentalism? What about the industrial system? I fucking say that too. I say that too. But this is the important shit. You have to choose actions which coincide with a world that is good. Rather we do this bullshit all the time. You want to relax so bad, you want to chillax so bad that you're willing to fuck things up. You're telling me you want to relax so bad that you look at the state of Raby Street and you go, that's fine. It's not. It's not. And yes, it is your fault. The person in Biker who's smoking bud, your fault. Because you aren't doing the thing. It's my fault as well. You're not doing changes which propagate a better place. You're not. And you bullshit yourself. And you bullshit the whole world when you come out here and try to say it's fine. No. Now, I'm not saying repeal to nostalgia, appeal to the past and change and go backwards. No. I'm not saying because back in the day, before the war, before Thatcher, you look at old Biker, they weren't. But I'm not using that. I'm not going back and trying to say, look at old Biker, we got Biker now. Biker now needs to change now. Now. You need to go to the future now. You need to grow. You need to become that person. Be in that world that needs to exist. And you come out with your fucking bullshit. I get it. Addictions are hard. I get it. I fucking have my addictions. So I'm not saying that you have to be perfect all the time completely. As long as you hate it, that's the best start. As long as you love yourself and you hate the addiction and you want to go up from there, that's all I ask. People need to be authentic. People need to care. People need to choose. But you can't choose when you're high all the time. You can't choose when you're changing your mind all the time. You can't choose when all you want is the next fix, the next fix, the next fix. You can't choose. You got no choice. You're not even a creature. You're a doll. I'm not saying this out of hate or nothing like that. I'm not even saying this about the fucking New York gangsters, New York, I'm not saying this about LA and their shit. None of that. This has all been about Biker. Fuck everywhere else. In the nicest way possible. I can't change your places. If you live in LA, go change the LA homelessness. Go do it yourself. Every man thinks, the government can do this, government can do that. No, it is up to you. Making a better world is up to you. That's always been the point. To change the world, you change yourself. I can't look at the past version of myself, right? All those past versions and say the world was better off with that person in it. Absolutely not. I don't do anything to change the world for the better. You have to do it now. You have to do it. And yes, in some fashion, in some way, I'll rope this back round and make a video at some point about how when you spend all day online, on the PC, on a Discord, on Steam, on your PlayStation, on your whatever it is, yes, you also make the world a worse place. And I believe that, and I do. I think we need to pay attention to our actions, because the cobalt comes from Congo, in many other places, but what's Congo? EVs. I had an ad for EVs the other day. You're not sustainably sourcing EVs to mass produce them to the entire population of the United Kingdom. You're not doing that. The government doesn't produce EVs. They get companies that only care about profit margins to put EVs back in so that they can some way gain money. This world does not care. I believe in this world, but there are forces in this world who do not care. You have to. This is an entire length of a full movie at this point. I'm glad no one's watching this. It is up to you to save the world. You won't ever save the world, but it's up to you. You have to play your part, because the world being a better place is about everyone being better. And that starts right there. And now I'm awake. Now I'm about to go to the library. Now I'm about to change for the better. Maybe I'll supply 250 the stagecoach. And it'll keep the roads going. And it'll keep the carbon emissions. And it'll keep so on and so on and so on. And I get it. You can't change everything. You can't be perfect. Right? You can't. You really can't. In this day and age, I don't know how the fuck you'll be perfect. But you can do your best. And that's what I'm saying. And I think Newcastle deserves our best. Newcastle. Not the fucking football team. Not Shearer. Shearer doesn't deserve nout from me. Right? He doesn't deserve nout. I don't want him on... I don't care if he gets TV deals or this or that or a new car or whatever. Sam Fender deserves fuck all from me. Right? Fuck all. Nobody deserves... But okay, they don't deserve anything. In fact, they've got riches. They've got wealth. I don't know if he has or hasn't. Maybe I should look it up. Sam Fender. I think your music's about fucking no shields. Put your money back in no shields. Put your money back in Shields. North or South, I don't know. I went to no shields recently, right? I went off that mate. It's a nice place. It's a beautiful place. Put your money back in your community. Put your care, your time, your effort back into the world you care about. These guys don't deserve nothing from me, you know. You don't need to look at Ant and Dec and say, what are Ant and Dec doing? Where's the Ant and Dec foundation of fucking Biker? You grew up on Biker Grove. Look at Biker now. That actually, I'm gonna shout this. I'm gonna shout this. And if you actually watch this point in the video, don't take too bad of an opinion on me. Ant and Dec, where the fuck is your foundation for Biker? You're on Biker fucking Grove. You want to grow up and get millions. You're in fucking I'm a Celebrity every fucking year. Where the fuck is the foundation? Where is the charity that goes back into this place? I need to be better. I need to be better. I need to give. Where is it? The millionaires don't come back. We are here now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have a foundation. But you've got places, man. You've got that St. Michael's just out of the shop in Raby Street. You know, you had the community trust, and they fucking took the community trust away. And then you have Carbon Homes. Carbon Homes, whoop. You know, care. Just care. Just really care about life. Really care about the world. That's a good starting point. Yeah. Maybe I don't know everything because I'm not up to date with everything and everyone. I don't check the news. Nice voice crack. So I don't see whether or not things are happening in Biker. There were some things on Shields Road. That was nice. I felt like the community was a little bit there. Not all together, but it was a little bit. The most I'll see in Monument is fucking Monster or Red Bull, Pepsi giving out cans. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a flying fuck? And why put your wasted time and effort into fucking big corporations like Pepsi Cola, Monster, Red Bull on Monument? Where's your appeal to the people? Where's your appeal to the people? Why is Arthur's Hill not getting attention? What about Gateshead? What about Scotswood? Going on Scotswood to see the bleeding races. Oh, me lads, where the fuck's the funding? You're taking the fucking piss and you're putting it back in London. Where the fuck is the funding, please? Please. May God Almighty himself actually care about Biker. about Newcastle, about Arthur's Hill, about Scotswood Road, right? About Rye Hill, about the students and their accommodation, you know? About all those in Westgate and the West End, about everyone in Biggar, everyone in Heaton, everyone in Jesmond, everyone in Gosforth, everyone in Walkergate, everyone in Walker, everyone, you know, the people living just near the Tyne, that's what we're going on Walkergate as well. You know, anyone on St Anthony's, anyone on Scrog, anyone on all these roads, anyone on Welbeck, anyone on Commercial Road, you know, anyone in Harbot's not any bigger. You know, may people and may God, may Christ actually care. I know He does, and I hope He does. But may the people, can people actually care? No disrespect, Charlie, whatever your name is, Sons of Anarchy, lad. I'm from Newcastle, yeah, this place will always be in my heart. Well, don't actors get paid like money and stuff? Aiming to give back? Mind you, I'm a hypocrite. I have money I should give back. But where are these people who can make real change? The government. Where is it? Community Trust dips out of Biggar. How the fuck can the Biggar Community Trust dip from Biggar? Made that make sense? For 1 minute. Right? I just don't know what I'm looking at anymore. Don't know what I'm looking at anymore. New Wrighton North. New Wrighton North's getting a building on, it's not New Bridge Street, I forget what it's called. It might be, I don't think. No, New Bridge Street is up the Biggar Bridge. There's I forget what it's called, the one that goes down onto that bridge, you know, the one the bus can only go on the white one. I forgot, got too many bridges. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's a person or a thing. Nicholas? Is it St. Nicholas? Is it Nicholas? Because you've got that big, massive industrial like glass building that has the name on it, but that nice grade listed building, New Wrighton North's going to get their headquarters there. If I don't see... my goal is to write this stuff and to really put it out there, because look, I don't care about Russia. Dostoevsky's Russia. Maybe he pays attention to it, maybe he gets eyes on it, right? But this place deserves the same amount of attention and care and respect and change. So when New Wrighton North is there, and you look at the awards and you look at all that stuff, I hope to God in heaven you have stories about people, or you have writers from Newcastle. And I know the North isn't just Newcastle, but when your headquarters are in Newcastle, please, for the love of God, pay attention to the place. Please care. I love Newcastle. It's my life. It's my blood. I'm a fucking northerner. I'm a Viking. I was a Viking. I looked like a Viking at some point. I was a Viking. I'm a northerner. I may be a Dane or whatever, but look, everyone here's got strong connections. Mercia with the invasion. Okay, we're northerners. We're meant to be the people who have heart. Where's the heart? It's difficult. Life is difficult. Even an hour of what I've been saying now, hour and 10 minutes, it pales in comparison to the actual problem, and I'm just yapping for the sake of yapping. This does nothing. These are words. These aren't change. This YouTube video isn't change. Change is change. Action, real action. Thank you to God for the ability of air in my lungs, the tongue to speak. If I've misspoken, if I've said bullshit here, which I have, may I be forgiven. I'm not trying to give anybody any falseness, you know. I'm not trying to bullshit to anybody. This is always a channel about authenticity. It's just for me to speak my mind. The fact that I've had the ability to speak for an hour, and now I'm a little bit more motivated. Now I want to actually go and face the day. The fact that I'm up and at 'em now, it's so much different to what I was like an hour ago. And yeah, I'm gonna go write the Yeti, But hopefully when I finish that story, I can get onto Billy's story, and I can get onto that. I can get onto that nugget of gold I'm trying to write, and then I can get onto Shields Road for the dissertation and start that novella. Maybe 150, 200, pages. I don't know what it will be, but in the 50s. In the 50s. Let's catch my man's name for a second. Let me open this page up, boys and women. Where is the name? There it is. I might pronounce this incorrectly the way I've written it down. Wing Hong. In the 50s, Wing Hong, my cousin, Stephen, has, he's, I think, 1/4 Chinese. My uncle, half Chinese. In the 50s, Wing Hong had a Chinese restaurant on Shields Road. That's inspired me to write this story. There's so much history here. There's so much history here. I care, love, and deeply, deeply hope that the rest of the world is safe and sound and trying. But all I got is the north of England, the north of this island. That may sound quite right-wing and racist for whatever time we're in, but please, look at my loyalties. Look at who I am. Even the skin colour itself, the hair and all of it, the DNA. This is me. I'm a northern man. I'm a northern man, born, bred, made for this place. I'm not too concerned about Northumbria, right? Let the nature trust. Let all these people go and do that beautiful work there, please. But I don't have to make some statements in some way. If I go down as a Steinbeck of Newcastle, that would be my dream. If I die, nobody gives a fuck about is. But the work I've produced helps people think. Or if I make one person say, let's make Bangor a better place. If I put £1 back into the local government so they can buy a packet of sweets for a child and maybe she's struggling, crying, like, then again, you can always just do that yourself. But, I have a mission. I've put it in my own heart. I have a mission. And this is my life's goal. It's surpassed itself. It did start from comics, and it went to La Passion. But I have a life's mission now. I have a life's mission. And regardless, nobody goes down as a great man in history for helping his country, for helping his city, for helping his street. They go down as conquerors, warmongers, billionaires. The simple man and woman don't go down in history. We're not trying to be remembered. We're trying to make actual change. That's what life's about. Change yourself. Try to change your world. Try to care and put... Oh, man. It's the greatest place on the planet. This shit means something to me. It's the greatest place in the world. Fuck America, man. Fucking America, great people. Shut up, man. Shut up. Trump. I'm not fighting moral quandaries here. This lad does not give two shits about me. America is not the greatest place in the world. That is not where you gotta go and make it the central point of the universe. The central point of the universe is right here. New fucking Castle, United Kingdom. Not the one in some bullshit place in America. Not someone in some bullshit place in Australia. Whoever's trying to copy the name. This right here. Newcastle. Mind you, even the name I'm not in love with because it's a Roman thing. This is the beautiful... Come on, man. Come on. It's far too long of a video.